What are those qualities, or you can say, how can you make a teacher ready for these children?
When it comes to teaching, first the quality is the teacher need to be empathetic, especially in the field of special education. So then the first thing is empathy, and then you also as a founder, I see to it that my teachers are also in a comfortable place. They need to enjoy coming to schools. As I see to it that the school is also a happy place for the staff.
Yeah.
Because if they are comfortable in school, if they enjoy coming to school, then only they feel happy working with the child.
We need to have therapists in every school, as I feel that every normal school therapist should be there, counselor should be there. Two people need to be in the schools, normal school. If they are there, then they can educate the teachers, and counselor and therapist should work together in normal school. Then only the awareness will
I've seen 14-15-year-old children in my school, and they go to washroom, they'll remove the whole clothes. From shirt to shorts to the pant to the underwear, they'll remove everything and go to the toilet. Because a child has been conditioned like that at home. Which a 4 to 5-year-old child, when they do like that, it's fine, but not when you're 15-16 years old.
So, welcome both of you to the Dolly Show today, and it's a pleasure to have you both. So, here we have with us our professional, who is Shankal, Dr. Shankal, and she's an occupational therapist. And we have our parent, who is Mrs. Reshmi. So, I welcome you both, and that's what makes the Dolly Show unique: a professional and a parent in conversation. So, a lot of aspects that we will be unfolding today, new aspects. So, the first one would be to you, Doctor. So, we all know for the fact that occupational therapy helps these children to get independent in their day to day life. So, what are the techniques that you put in to be able for these children to lead?
independence.
Let's start with that.
So first of all, it's like we first assess, we do some assessments so that we get to know that how and what all difficulties the child is facing, or any individual, what all difficulties they are facing, and then we work on that how can we help them to, like, we do assessments, and then we plan a program for the individual. Our main focus is to, like, bring independence in their functional activities in their daily livings.
Correct.
So that it is beneficial for the child to be independent in their life. And its most important part, that being independent is like no one will, like, for life come and help us and do things for us. So being
True.
independence is completely like, we need to be independent for all the things.
Correct.
And basically for our own work, like daily livings, like bathing and basic things, like children with autism have difficulties in many of these aspects, like bathing. We feel it is very easy. What is there in bathing? What is there in brushing? What is there in going to a toilet and having that activity? But it's difficult for them because they have not learned it in a right way, or they have difficulty in, like, coordination. They have poor coordination. They also have poor strength sometimes. So it is like goes part and part. Like we first need to work on the coordination so that there is no difficulty coming in between the, like, completing the task. So then we work on that. After that, we make a structured pattern. We set it with the parent. That parent also need to work with us so that it would be beneficial. So that we plan a program that in what pattern it should be going on, and then we use hands-on technique for each and everything. Like we imitate things to the child. We do it in front of the child so that the child imitate us, Or then for brushing, if we imitate, he learns something, we need to give hands-on techniques. Like we need to hold the child's hand and we need to use it. Like right, left, and same pattern should be followed daily. It's not like that one day you will do from left, or it's not like that. Every day one pattern should be taught so that the child processes it and applies it. And one day definitely independence come, and that is very relieving for the therapist as well as the parents, because both have put the efforts. At the same time, working in school setup is very important, because see, in school setup now we have the child for longer duration. Coming to the therapy center, it's like sometimes parents do send them. After some like 1 year they stop the therapy, they go to some other therapist, and all this happens. But coming to school, like working in school is very like great, because the children are for longer duration. As well as we can work with teachers, we can work with parents, and we own what we work is there. So we can keep a track on all things. Teachers also do take practice of things which we give them. Also parents do come and do like, yeah, we will follow it at home, and they do it. So all will go hands in hand, and it will change like wonders. Looking at these children, I was somewhere like disheartened that yeah, we need to do something for these kids, and that opportunity I got, and I am like really blessed to work with these kids, and it wonders. Like if we work by our heart and soul completely, it is like wonders. And working in school is very beneficial, as ma'am also knows it, that she also had that experience working in school. We get much more results in that. So
Fantastic.
yeah,
Good to know. Yes, you need to put in your heart
yeah,
and connect.
absolutely.
So, ma'am, coming to you, I would first and foremost really want to know your journey. What got you into this profession of special education, which is currently a very hot topic that everybody wishes to discuss? So, you being a parent and then getting into this profession, what was the reason?
So it was my son. He's Neil today. He's 18 years old. So he was the reason behind me getting into this profession. So he was born a normal child. When he was around 2.5 months, he got meningitis. So after he got meningitis, the doctor said there is going to be delay in his milestones, and you had to be prepared for it. So then you know what meningitis is, but then you know how much the delay is going to be there and what are the after effects. I was not prepared for all those things. So there was a long stay in the hospital, almost 1.5 months he was in the hospital. And when he came out, like they said, you need to start with the therapies. So he started with occupational therapy, we started with physiotherapy. And there was progress, there was slow and steady progress. But then I realized that this is going to be a long journey. And then when he was around 2 years, they said, now you can start schooling for him. So I went around, I was looking out for school for him. Took him to a play school, which is a very famous chain of play school. So this school was very close to my house. So I said, I want to admit him. So it was a young girl over there. She was the owner of that place. So she said, I said, he has got a history. So when she came to know, she said, no, I cannot take him. So then I said, okay, then, because he's not independent, like we won't be able to manage him. So I said, okay, you have a mother toddler group. So let you enroll him in mother toddler so that I'm there with him, so I can manage him. So she refused that also. So I realized, because I have heard of rejections, of children. So I realized like this is the first rejection my son is getting. So I said, okay, never mind. Then I took him to other play school. He was admitted in other play school. It belonged to one of my friend. But then I realized, and I was present over there. So I realized the teachers over there didn't know how to interact with him. Because, they didn't have any background in special education. So they didn't know how to get things done from, So he was there, but then he was not present to what is happening in the class. So then I realized like, this is not going to work. So then I went and spoke to the therapist. Then she told me about special education. That is the first time I came to know, because Neil was the first child in our family. I never had any interaction with any special needs kids other than what I had seen outside. So then I read up about special education. I realized that there is a B.Ed in special needs. It's a whole different world of a way of teaching. Methods of teaching. So then, and there was, luckily at that time, one senior special educator, she had come to the therapy center. So I spoke to her. I said, I want to start a center for these kids because I feel in Chembur like there is no schools for them. So, can you join me? Because I had I had done my diploma in early intervention and this care. So I said, I had done this. So you are a special ed, so we can start the center. So if I start, will you join me? So she said, yes, why not? I'll join you. And I went home. I told my father-in-law, I want to start a center for these kids. So what he did, like we had a garage. So he cleared up the whole thing. He set up the whole thing and he said, you start your school over here. So that's how we started. And then at that time I met Gauri also. Then she also is a parent. So she I was taking my son to Gauri also for therapy for some time. And then I told her also. She also came to know that I'm starting this center. So she called me and then she said, Rashmi, I heard you're doing this, even I would like to join you. So like that, we both of us together, we started this center. So we started in 2012. So when we started with 3 to 4 kids in a 100 square feet garage. We were not sure, how long this thing will, I was under impression, okay, after my child grows up little, I can put him to some other school. And then, we'll both get back to what we were doing, because Gauri was based in Dubai, so then her husband was still working over there. So she had plans to go back. So I thought, okay, this is just, maybe 3-4 years we'll run this. But then, a lot of admissions started happening. Parents were very happy with the results. And then we kept on shifting premises because the number of children increased, the number of professionals increased. Then I realized only academics is not sufficient. You need to have therapy also happening, under the same roof. Because sometimes teachers have got challenges which the therapist can help them. But for the therapist, and for that the therapist needs to be physically present so that they can see what are the challenges happening in the classroom. The child, children have got fine motor difficulties. They cannot sit in one place for a long time. They don't give an eye contact to the teacher. So how can the teacher teach, unless these things are taken care of? So we kept on adding more and more services. We started with occupational therapy. We started with physical education, so that, because they are very hyper, they have a lot of energy in them, so if that is used up, then they are able to sit for academic session for a long time. So we introduced with physical education. We also had psychologists coming. Because parents also need a lot of counseling. So we introduced a lot of other services, so, and then today, it's 2024, so we have 57 students.
Wow.
We have around 30 therapists. We have 4 occupational therapists, rest are teaching staff and auxiliary staff, so around 30 staff we have. And we also started with a vocational unit because these kids are all growing up. So we need to know, okay, what is the next step, because they need to be independent also. So we have started with an vocational training center. So it has been a long journey. So for me, it started with my son. And he gave me a purpose in life. And everything I learned it, over the period of time. I never knew what special education was. I never knew what occupational therapy was. So for me, everything, I learned it, yeah. So this has been my journey, and still there is a long way to go. A lot of things is planned ahead also. We want to start with the residential because I know, as you are growing, your children are they need to be independent, and
What
they
after us?
Yes,
It's the
what
classic
after us.
statement.
What after
Yes. So they need to be independent, as she said, how we work on, making them independent in their daily living. Activities like brushing, bathing, all this is important because when the child is going to live independently away from the parent, they need to do all those things on their own, because otherwise they are dependent on others. There is always a chance of abuse. These children cannot tell also if they are abused. So the more independent the child is, the chances of these things reduces. For that reason, the child needs to be independent. If he can, bathe himself, he can wear his own independently. He can wear his own clothes. So then the child, lot of things the child can do themselves.
Yeah.
So then nobody can abuse them. Like because the child is doing everything on their own. So then that's why a lot of things are there which we need to take care. As the child is small. So because then they get into that pattern of doing, like simple thing. Sometimes children, I've seen 14, 15-year-old children in my school. When they go to washroom, they'll remove the whole clothes. From shirt to shorts to the pant to the underwear, they'll remove everything and go to the toilet because a child has been conditioned like that at home. Which a 4 to 5-year-old child, when they do like that, it's fine, but not when you're 15, 16 years old. It is not fine. It is not socially acceptable. But if the child was made to do this right from the beginning, the child would have just followed that pattern. So it's very important that all these things are inculcated at a very young age. Then it becomes that transition to adulthood becomes very easy. So that's why early intervention is very important, with our kids, especially with kids with autism. Normal children, they know, okay, 5-year-old without a shirt is fine. So they know 10-year-old, I cannot be without a shirt. But then with children with autism, they don't understand why I need to be with shirt at 10-year-old. So that's why if you make it a pattern that you have to wear your t-shirt, he will wear a t-shirt, whether he likes it or not. Because I've been because he is used to wearing a t-shirt.
And that should be in a structured way from the beginning itself. If it would be in a structured way now, like one of the parent has come to me that my child, she is a girl and she is now at around 13, 14 age. And now the parent had came to me asking for help that she is not able to perform her toileting activity, both. So I was like, come for assessment, I need to talk with you. So I asked her what difficulties she has while performing the activity. So she's like, no, sometimes she goes by herself, but sometimes she is not ready to go and she does all things, and means anywhere, wherever she is there. So I told that is her behavior and that she knows ki Mama also has given me that chance to do it here. Sometimes what happens is parent do get up today. It's a day one. Get up, go to a toilet, then then brush it, then I will give you a breakfast. But sometimes parents do, chalo, get up, I will give you a breakfast. So the pattern is important. So I told the parent, like what you have a fixed pattern or you just shuffle it. So she's like, no, I shuffle it sometime. I have not set a pattern for her. So I told, see, this is not the issue in her toilet training. Na? We can't give her toilet training because already she is independent in it. She need to be like having a good pattern, a set of structured patterns so that she can follow it regularly. But now it is difficult as she has already adapted it. Anything can go, anything I can do, no worries. It is the thing, because at that point, like she is in 12, 13 years. So now it is already adapted. So that is difficult. Still, I have given the parent the protocol. It's like you set a pattern for her. You need to get up, show flashcards because visual works good in autism. So I told, set a pattern, keep flashcards. So that you can show the flashcards, give rewards in good ways. Like if you complete this activity, if you complete this task, you will get this thing. So that rewards work. So it will be helpful for the child to develop or to develop the behavior also. Toilet training was not her concern only. She was thinking that it is her concern. But if the child is able to do it independently when she is willing to do, then it's her behavior, and that is a bit mistake of the parents also, that they have not set the pattern. That is why the reason the child is not working it. So the pattern is also important in this. Like normal kids do, means they can understand, theek hai, today I have not done this, but still they are also very smart. if one day they get escaped from anything, the next day they will ask for the same. Ki yesterday to you have asked me to play for this time, then why not today? So in autism, the childrens are like, they are set in a one pattern. They need to be followed in like one pattern every day. So that is only the thing we need to work on.
Consistency is the key when
Yeah.
you work with them.
Yeah.
So y'all mean to say emphasis on early intervention is the first thing that needs to be addressed. Secondly, yes, a routine, a pattern, and consistency. Nice, which is really good. Which brings me to two questions, but yes, I will go one by one. First, to you, ma'am. What are those qualities, or you can say, how can you make a teacher ready for these children?
See, when it comes to teaching, first the quality is the teacher needs to be empathetic, especially in the field of special education. Many times a teacher come into this profession because they have someone in the family like me. Either they are a parent or they have some relation in the family, and then they feel okay, like I need to work with that child, so then let me get educated in this field, so that I can help that child. So I have some teachers with me who have got relatives, and then they come into this field. So then they realize that okay, there is much more I can offer. If I take up a job, I can cater to more kids, and also it helps them economically also. So then the first thing is empathy, and then you also as a founder, I see to it that my teachers are also in a comfortable place. They need to enjoy coming to school. So I tell, like, even like Shankar has been working with us, I see to it that the school is also a happy place for the staff.
Yeah.
Because if they are comfortable in school, if they enjoy coming to school, then only they feel happy working with the child. So then that bonding with the children, they are able to bond well with the kids. Develop that wavelength with the child, with the parents, with the other professionals. So it's like it's a happy
place.
It's like a family for us over there. So the teachers also feel welcome over there. Some of my teachers has been working with them so many years, and they come from far off. Like places like Kalyan, they travel all the way to Chembur, and from many years they've been coming with us because they enjoy working over here. So empathy is the first factor, and then you need to love kids, to work with them.
That is the
because
major part.
with these kids, no 2 days are same.
Similar,
So one day it can be very smooth. Sometimes they come and tell me, "Aaj bahut acha tha ye bacha," but then next day then they say, "Aaj ye ho gaya, wo ho
Was
gaya."
I wrong yesterday?
Yes. Sometimes I tell them also, don't say that. After a week, you come and share. Because
The
you never
jinx.
know next day. Yes, it does happen sometimes. So then that's why, these are the main qualities you need to love the children you're working with. And for us, like whether it's therapists or teachers, it's not just their children, because we have a very small student teacher ratio, like 3 to 4 kids and 1 teacher. Sometimes it can be one-on-one also. It depends upon the condition of the child, especially if the child is very young, have got of behavior issues and all. So we start with a one-on-one intervention. And we call them for short duration. We start with 1 hour session. So 20 minutes they work with the teacher. Then they go to the therapist for some time, and then we send them home, so that whatever time they're spending in school, it's quality time, they're getting. And gradually we increase the time. We'll make it 1 hour 15 minutes, 1 hour 30 minutes. So slowly we increase the time, so that, the child spends quality time in school. It is not like, see, me as a parent, I am very particular that if the child is coming to school, if the parent is paying the fees, the child needs to have some improvement, So then I am very particular, because my son was in a school where after 6 months when I went, for the parents meeting, the therapist was there. So I asked, how's Neil? He had a blank expression on his face. Means he doesn't know, after 6 months also, he doesn't know who Neil is, whereas like Shankal and all, after 1 month, they know each child by name. Whether it's, we have 3 therapists, so they have been assigned students, but then she knows the other children's case history also, because she might work with other children, if the other therapist is absent. So here the therapist, after 6 months also, didn't know the child by name. So this is the kind of, therapy they are getting over there, but I as a parent, I'm very particular that, every child who comes over there, there is
Need to
improvement.
have it.
Parents are very happy. That is why we never marketed ourselves, like Little Hearts is never marketed. We never knew how to do it, because we were busy offering the services and improving the quality, what we are offering. So it was all word of mouth for us, because every child who come over there, parents are happy. Like today also, the new admissions which has come in 6 months, we had a PTA meeting. All the parents are very happy, and they said, like, there is a lot of improvement, in the children, because we also call parents, during the therapies also. You come, attend the therapy session, take home program, follow it, give feedback to the therapist, because that is improve. The child is there for a short duration, but home is where he's spending maximum time. So the same thing needs to be followed at home. That consistency, what man said, it has to be done at home for them to have some good improvement, measurable improvement. So that's why this is the way we function in our center.
So for that matter, okay, fine. We have discussed your center. How do we incorporate all these qualities? Just an opinion that I want from you all. With these mainstream school teachers. So how can we educate them, or how can we, so to say, make them aware? So what do you think can be done for this?
See, many
Both
of
of you.
many of the normal school nowadays have started taking autist. Like they have once a week, twice a week sessions they have. So what they do is they go to each and every class. Initially, they take a meeting with the teachers that what all difficulties you can find in your children's. They don't know. They think, the child is not able to write. But why the child is not able to write? That the teacher would not know, because she is not that like good in that specialty. So that is the thing we need to teach them. That you need to find out the major part. Later on, we need to go to the classrooms and need to just look at every child and like see what all things the child is doing, so that we can understand it. Ki, see, this child is not able to sit at one place in the class. Like normal school, all the children's maximum 1 hour they sit at one place and listen to teacher. But some kids in the 60, the strength, if the strength is 60, 2 children are there who are not able to sit at one place. So we need to So we need to first make awareness, like tell the teachers what is right and what is wrong. It's not that the child is very naughty or anything like that. It must be something missing in him. So that we need to go and like we need to aware everyone, like the principals, like the teachers, because they don't know. In special school, teachers know because they have that education.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, the problem is that schools like yours, they're aware. Where the thing is lacking is these schools. So here it's already done. What about them?
So
There,
it's
the
actually in
awareness
a
is
normal,
still needed.
in a normal school, suppose you have playgroup or you have nursery, there are these red flags. The child, the way she said, the child is not able to sit for a longer time. He disturbs the class. He keeps moving around, in the classroom. So these are red flags, which the teacher has to notice. Parents also don't notice. But then sometimes they feel, okay, he'll outgrow this, or baad mein theek ho jayega, na, this kind of attitude, But if the teacher is finding this is happening regularly, she needs to notify the, management or the principal and call a meeting, with the parents and make them aware. See, this is what is happening. So then why don't you get a diagnosis done, Because it can be or it cannot be, but it is always in the interest of the child, that it is better to get it done at the right time. And then you start with intervention. Sometimes I have seen cases where few months of therapy was only required for the child. The child is not in the spectrum, but then yes, this hyperactivity is, it is on the rise, So if you give some intervention to the child is able to manage himself better in a classroom. These services are available now. Awareness is also there, So parents need to take the decision at the right time. So it's every case is not autism, There are various other things, So then if few sessions of few months of therapy is required, maybe sometimes a child requires speech therapy because the child is stammering in class, so that is all what is required. You don't have to do it lifelong, like other cases. So but then getting a proper diagnosis done at the right,
Right time.
age is very important. So when you find red flags, this is the way. If you are an inclusive school and you find, okay, this is what is happening in the class, they need to take the right decision at the right time, intimate the parents, call them for a meeting, have a counseling session with the parent and make them aware, like see, it need not be this, but get a proper diagnosis done and start with the intervention at the right time.
Correct.
Especially in the
That-
play school setting,
yeah.
you come to know how, when they are playing outside, you come to know everyone. You can make out like one or two kids are there, who are either loners, they are in their own world, they don't mix with the other child, or they are fidgeting with a particular toy for a longer time, so these are red flags, which in a playgroup and nursery you can make out
Make
at a
out.
very young
Yeah.
age.
But the
So-
teacher also cannot get into it because she is also not expert in that thing.
Yeah.
So the awareness is important, and the education to teachers as well as
So
the parents
that's
is
what my
important.
discussion is. What sort of education to these teachers? What sort of red flags these teachers need to be aware of?
See, if there is an therapist we need to have therapist in every school, as I feel that every
Yeah.
normal school therapist should be there, counselor should be there. Two people need to there
Need to
in the schools, normal school. If they are there, then they can educate the teachers
Correct.
that what all things you can find out in this children's, and they can tell us
Correct.
so that we would work. And directly telling to the parents will not help because they will not accept that my child is going to a normal school. What all things you are telling about our kids, that is also the thing. So counselor should be there to counsel the parent, and counselor and therapist should work together in normal school. That I feel. Then only the awareness will be
Be creative.
yeah, because nowadays awareness is the basic thing. See, because I am in that field, my mother is now getting expert because she is also very smart.
Exactly.
She looks at any child and then asks me, there's something missing in this child, because I go and tell her the stories regarding my children. But it is not required, or it is not like that ki everyone will do. See, ma'am will see the child and can assess, there is something missing, but the normal person cannot find out the difficulties he is looking. It is very important to find out what is difficult, what is lacking behind, so that we can work on it. But it is important to have a therapist, counselor in a school where they will be educated towards autism.
Correct.
What is exactly autism and what all features we are able to see.
Yes.
Like ma'am said, what all the red flags are. So that is important.
In B.Ed nowadays, they have included, there is a special curriculum, where special needs topics are being taught in regular B.Ed. So then, the teachers working in a school environment can help, because nowadays a lot of inclusive schools are coming up.
Correct.
So then how a classroom teacher can help the child, with autism in a normal school setup. So then exposure, really
Correct.
helps, because if they are not aware what autism is, they cannot help the child.
Yeah.
So that's why regular B.Ed has got a separate curriculum on special needs now. So which is a good thing.
Yes,
Which is a good thing.
which is really needed.
Yeah. So it is happening. It's slow.
Yeah.
And even the admissions, what is happening nowadays, a lot of younger kids are coming because parents accept it. Okay,
Yeah.
there is a challenge. And, this is where the child can get better services. So then they feel, because it has happened, Dolly, when the child, I'll tell you one example. We had a student who came to us. She was around 5 to 6 years. She was going to an international school over here, and she had features of autism, and she used to get disturbed, with loud noises.
Yeah.
So they were preparing, there were a lot of issues happening in the class, but they were also preparing for the annual day. So the child was participating, but she was disturbing the whole class and all. So the parent was told, don't get her for the annual day because she will disturb, her class. So then that was very hurting for the parent, and then the parent said, okay, this is not the right place for my child, because if they are saying, they are calling themselves an inclusive school and they are not allowing my child to participate, means she is not in the right space. So then she had come to us and the child was there with us for 2 years. End of that second year, she gave an independent performance on our annual day. On stage, she performed, a child who was not willing to face crowd. I remember the first few days she was there in our center, she would not even leave the therapy room. She would just peep out and look at the other kids, like because of the sensory issues and whatever challenges she was facing, she would not even step out, she would just she used to come with a helper because the mother was a working parent. From the therapy room to the exit, from the exit to the therapy room, she would not interact with any other kids, she would not even step out of that therapy room. And that child, she participated in drama, we had a Ramayana, this thing for Dasara, she was Sita over there. So the interventions really helped her, and today she has gone back to a normal school. She, I think, is in 7th or 8th grade, and I can see videos her mothers are posting where she is performing to a whole crowd. So the interventions what she received at the right age really helped her to grow. Challenges are still there, but still she is able to manage in a normal school. And the school environment is also quite inclusive. She's accepted over there. So that no one bullies her. There are challenges, but then there is no bullying happening. She has got a very supportive environment also over there. There are special educators and there is autist over there. So she's getting all the support, but she's able to manage in that environment just because of those early interventions she got at the right age. Suppose she has continued over there, it would have been a disaster for the child. So that's why there's early intervention, accepting that the child, there is challenges, and starting with the intervention at the right age is very important for the improvement.
Perfect. Which is, see, as you said, that the concerns were addressed, and then the child was able to perform. It's not that they can't do it, they can. It's just that they need the right guidance and the right kind of people to help them out and get out their performance. Fantastic, very nice point that we have discussed, which now brings me to a very controversial question. What do you think, mainstream or special education for these children, or is it based on each case? So what do you think is your take on this?
I feel it's based on each case. If the child is aggressive, aggressive, like he can be aggressive towards himself, or towards his classmates, then it's difficult to mainstream a child, because then you need a shadow with the child. Sometimes I've seen, the schools ask for shadow and the child is just left with the shadow. So there is no interaction, classroom teachers don't take that effort to interact with the child because they feel, okay, the shadow is taken care of, so it's not my job, So then the child is missing out on the regular, that there's no peer interaction. So those kind of things are happening, but then especially when there is aggression, then the child cannot be integrated in a normal, classroom surrounding. So in that case, special needs center is a better option because there the people around knows how to handle that child. But if the cases are mild, then the child can be integrated. It's a good thing because they learn a lot of things from the peers. Communication is one area, because they pick up a lot of language. Those development happen, in a normal classroom setting. But this support for the child is always required. You need to have therapies in the child needs to have regular occupational therapy. You need to have counseling session with the child. Even if they're getting therapies outside, also it's a good thing. But yes, so it depends upon child to child.
Perfect. That's what I wanted your opinion, basically. So yes, what is your take on this, ma'am?
Same, it depends on child to child, obviously. But the thing is, see, if the child is going to a normal school, there would be a shadow teacher and they are helping the child. If anything, means any of the thing is there. But the thing is, all the other kids are going so far than this
Then
kid.
this child,
Yeah. So that coping skill is also required. Like all children are able to cope up, but this child is not go to that level. So that can bring anxiety to that child or that anxiousness. Rather than putting them in a special school, they can somewhere lead in that school because they are good. And there are many in special school, there are many children who are like severe autistic. So in that case, they can lead, they can help the other children. That will build confidence in them. And it would be better when they goes out. They have that confidence that yes, I help my classmate, yes, I lead my class. So that confidence also helps them a lot outside the world. So it's better, but it's upon the child, like child to child. What, and the parents also, what the parents think and what they want. So that depends on them totally.
He fell sick and he was diagnosed. So then it was shocking for me as a parent, because when your child is falling sick in front of you, and he was very sick, like he was not conscious for a long time. So it's very shocking, that is the worst thing, a parent can face, because you're so helpless. You're dependent on the doctors, you're dependent on the medical fraternity to help you. And no amount of money can save your child, because I was told, we did everything possible, now you pray to God. So that is when I realized, like, he's so sick, because I knew he had meningitis, but how serious he is, I never realized it, So when they said you pray to God, that is when I realized, oh, my child is so sick that they can't also do anything, So it was very shocking for me. I went through a bad phase. And then when he came out of it, and then they said, okay, he's going to, need extensive therapy for a long, long time. So I started with therapies and all those things. Then I realized, okay, this is going to be a long journey. So you feel, okay, why him, why him? And why did it happen to him? And why me, Why should my child suffer, And there were children around, friends around, who were all, like happy having, children who are healthy. So I said, but then somewhere, like, I was a very strong person. And I felt, okay, fine, whatever it is, like, let's face it, So today, like, when the school happened and all those, the services the children are getting, the differences, it is making in the children's life, and the people who are employed with us, the differences it is making in their life. So somewhere I feel, okay, this is the purpose, all this happened to him. Otherwise I would never have thought of, starting a special school, it was never in my mind to start a special school. So I feel, okay, whatever happens in life is with a purpose, so I got a purpose because of all these things, Sometimes people come to me and then they say, I was into depression because my child, is a special needs child, So I feel like, when I reflect back, I feel I didn't even have the time to get depressed because I was so busy doing things, for him and, to starting and taking care of my elder son and the house and everything. So you have to find a way out, to help yourself. You might have all the people, like I had supportive parents, I had supportive in-laws, husband, everything was there, but it was me who had to help myself, to come out of that thing and help my child, and take care of the people around me and start a special needs center, I could have put him in any school and felt, okay, the school will take care of it, but then I felt no, because there was no services in Chembur at that time. I saw parents traveling to Bandra and far off places, sitting over there for 2-3 hours, getting the child back, I was not ready to do that. And luckily, like, I had this, degree which I completed. And that also I feel was God's thing, I never intended to get into teaching. One fine day I opened the newspaper, I saw this course happening and it was very close to where my elder son was studying. So I went and enrolled myself and I finished that course, So somewhere, it was planned, things. Before he was born, I finished this course, and I had the degree when I wanted to start this school, So then it was all planned, it was destiny, for me. So it is so you have to help yourself, and there are people you can seek help from others, there are a lot of people who can help. So then you need to seek help, because you cannot be in that, bechara state and all that.
Correct,
No, you
correct.
cannot live like that, and because
Yeah.
it is not going to help you, nor is going to help your child, so you need to come out of it, seek help your child, and in that bargain you can help others also.
Yeah.
Because a lot of other parents, they get to learn a lot of things from you. They can, you can get to learn a lot of things from others. There are a lot of WhatsApp groups, which is a very good thing.
Yeah.
There are groups on Facebook, nowadays. There are a lot of channels, where you get a lot of good information about the services and all those things, so you need to upgrade yourself, so you have to be open to all that, you are not that just because it has happened to my child, it's not end of the world. There are a lot of parents, who are in the similar situation, so you can learn a lot of things from others, so I mean, that is not the end of the world. You need to help your child, and take it as an opportunity.
True. I think that's what we can sum it up as: do best in the given situation. Just get the best out of the situation and not let yourself sink into the negativity. Fantastic.
Important.
An amazing thing that you have put across. Very important for parents, and they need a boost. They know it somewhere, but they sink in so much into
Sympathy
the situation
factor and,
that
self-pity.
so you need to keep making them realize, or you need to keep reminding them that yes, there is light at the end of the tunnel, for sure.
And there are solutions.
Yes,
for
there are
every
solutions.
problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So now, after this discussion, there's another thing that crops up, which is stress. Nowadays, wherever you go, oh my God, I have a lot of stress. Everybody, be it a neurotypical, be it a neurodiverse, I think stress has become a very common word in our life. So, ma'am, I have heard that you have some relaxation techniques.
Yeah.
So, we would really love to know about that.
See, there are many more relaxation techniques, but some of them are like, I'll name them. One is Jacobson relaxation techniques. What happen is we need to stretch ourselves. We need to like regulate, or we need to do physical exercise for it. Like nowadays people have like the ratio is like initially people used to do more physical work, and that was the reason the stress was less. Nowadays people sit and work for hours and hours, but no physical exercise, no physical activities are there. So the muscles also get tensed, and because of that muscle tense, the stress level has increased. So the thing is, we need to release the muscle so that the blood flow, the blood circulation gets better, and the stress goes down. So there are several techniques which I have also used in my like journey.
For these children.
Yeah, for children there are some other techniques, and for elder ones there are some other techniques.
So, we discuss both today.
Yeah, both today. First, talking about the elder ones, there are children don't understand. All the children don't understand commands, so we cannot give them commands which they can follow. But the adult can follow our commands. So there is Jacobson technique, in which all the muscles, the muscle group should be relaxed and tensed with the breathing, so that the muscles get relaxed, have good circulation, and that leads to lower the stress. The second technique is the imaginary technique. So in that the person needs to lie down in very relaxed position, and they need to imagine any good place where they want to go, or where they like that place. They need to imagine. We can also like play some nice soothing music so that it would be calmer, and a silent place, a dark place. They need to just lie down, think of some good place, and then they need to slowly concentrate on their muscles, on their joints, from the toes to the head. And it really helps wonders. I have experienced. So this is the second technique. The third is the mindfulness. mindfulness is thing in which we live the present life. See, I am sitting here, you are also sitting here, but you are thinking back of the mind something else also. So that also leads to stress, and that is the fact. In that, now we need to like think what is going around us right now, closing our eyes and lying down or sitting in a comfortable position, whichever you like. Because sometimes what happens, people after lying down they go asleep. Slow, that is not working. So yeah, so then any comfortable position, and then you need to like leave the exact the what is going around. So any sounds, like closing your eyes and feeling what sounds are coming. Any, if there is a fan in the room, then what sound is coming. If the vehicles are going around, then what sound you are feeling. What texture you are feeling because of the air. Sometimes we feel the air is touching our skin, and all the present movement we need to live. We have to like
Forget everything else and be present
everything.
in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So stress management is very important, and a correct technique with correct like experts. Yeah, experts should be there. Like we only can do at home also. Meditations can be performed at home. Breathing exercises can be performed at home, and breathing exercises also helps a lot. But some techniques should be done by the expertise so that it would be beneficial. Yeah. In children's, like in pediatric population, there are techniques like calming music, dark place, weighted blankets, rolling them in the blanket, joint compression works wonder. While sleeping, I have already recommended many, like all of the parents, to give joint compression at the time when they go to sleep, before going to sleep. Slow stroking also helps a lot. Also, ball pressure. We have the therapy ball, and that ball pressure also helps the child. Any sensory tools or any sensory play which the child wants, or the fidget toys, are the stress management thing for the kids, because they will not understand the mindfulness and the breathing exercise, because they don't know how to follow the command and apply it. So it is difficult for them to perform all these things. So these are the techniques for the kids to be performed. So sensory plays also plays like wonders in children's. They love to play, they enjoys the activity. Fidget toys, I feel every parent should carry one fidget toy with them every time when they go out, so that it is beneficial. Even though they get hyper or anything, now we can give it to them. They stay like their state of mind is calmed down. So that is
Especially
very
while traveling.
while
those-
traveling.
These kids, if they can keep it with them, one or two toys for them, it's very calming.
because
A
they
new environment can be little,
Yeah.
chaotic for them, like airports and, when you're traveling by
the
flight.
sounds, the
Yes.
vehicle sounds, the horns and all
Yes.
make them hyper,
They get disturbed.
anxious,
So-
and that is very beneficial. Any fidget toy, whichever they like, popping tubes, fidget toy, anything. And at the therapy, like in the session, we can, as I told, ball pressures or joint compressions or anything which the child likes, like different things are there. The child has different needs. So what the child wants, the therapist know. So therapist should first assess what the child wants and with what the child gets calm.
Correct.
So that all things we can perform for stress management, and they helps a lot. Like I personally in my session perform one relaxation technique to all kids. One for 5 to 10 minutes, not more. Like 45-minute session is there. One will take all 30 minutes for ball pressure or any all the things, then there's no meaning. No? We need to perform, and we need to have like we have much more goals to complete. So only this thing will not work.
Correct.
Rather than this thing can be given as a reward, that if we will complete this, we will get this. And the children are very smart. These children know everything. My children now, they have they knows my pattern. After completing it, when the time comes, when they are feeling now I will go, that time they, like, some are there, they go bring the ball, tell me, and they lie down and tell me to give pressure. They go get the blanket, tell me to roll them. So that all things the children also know, that if I am going to perform good, teacher is going to tell. So that will benefit in our like routine also. If we practice it regularly, I have also like given the schedule many teachers also in my school, that teachers should follow the sensory diet thing, so that the child would be like, many children are very hyperactive, they bang their heads and do what all not to do. So I have prepared a sensory chart, sensory diet, that after coming to school, at what time and what doses should be given, with proper sensory things, like proprioception things are there. So 5 minutes of proprioceptive activity, anything, physical activity, then bouncing on the ball, any activities. Then you can continue with your therapy session, like your academic session, classroom activities. Then you will, for 10 minutes, you can give them a vestibular activities, swinging, or any activities like that. Then you can continue with the classroom activity. After some time, you can give with one sensory activity, messy play, clay play, therapy, anything, so that the child also know that teacher is regulating my needs. She is completing my needs, and they will be attentive in the classroom also because of that. So it is very beneficial for the children to keep a track and make a schedule. The one important thing in autism is to be maintaining a schedule for every children.
Emphasizing that.
Yeah. Schedule is most important, because once we disturb the schedule all the child will go into regress. And that is my personal experience. The parents who don't follow schedules will find the child going into regress. But there are many kids, like I have, like for ADL, we are like expertise in ADL, as everyone says. So one of my child in my school only, he is now 10 to 11, 10 to 11 something. Her mother complains me in last month that he is not able to perform his toileting activity, the cleaning part. He waits for her mother to come and clean. So I told, what all strategies you have applied? So she's telling me, no, I tell him ki do it. I will. Then they have some their mother strategies like that. So I told, see, I will work on it. Then I started working on it. Initially, I had given him, the child, only a pattern. See, you have to do in the classroom, not in the toilet. In my classroom, this is the thing. See, this is the mug. You have to sit, and that is an Indian setting. I asked the mother also what setting the child has at home, because if I will make him practice Western, then it will not work. Then I used to make him sit in a squatting position, make him perform the activity without a water, without anything. But with hands-on technique, I used to use my hand on his hand and use the hands-on technique so that he knows how and how much pressure should be applied to clean the surface. Then after that, then I started bringing him to the washroom. And then I applied much more, like messy things, foam I used, therapy I used. And then I made him to clean. And that also in a structure pattern. First, you need to clean your right side, left side, and center. So he used to speak also right, left, center. But that was processed in his mind, fixed, that right, left, and center. When I made him do it in the toilet, I used foam. So after that, he was like right, left, center, and almost 90% he cleaned very well in 1 month. And now the parent had came for a meeting. She was like, yeah, now he's
Doing it.
yeah, very well. So I was appreciated that if the child was not able to do for 9 to 10 years, but in 1 month, because of a good structured way and a good planned way he is doing, then any child can do anything. But the structure should be followed. And I told his mom also, now onwards this, you need to follow the structure, then your child will be beneficial for it. So that is the main important thing, and that achievements are like, yeah, we have did
Everybody.
something. Yeah, that
Because
is
the way she structured the whole thing, how to, like, how finding out from the parent, like what kind of toilet they have at home, because in school we have Western style, but at home it was Indian style. So he will be passing potty more in at home. So then making him sit in the squatting position, using foam to clean himself, all those things, how she planned the whole thing, regular practice of that, and now the child is showing results because it was done in a very systematic manner.
and in
So
the
you
same
have
pattern,
results.
same pattern every day, right, left and center, that 2 years.
Mugged up,
Yeah.
So when he does, so he says that to himself.
Himself, yeah.
See, whether he says or not is immaterial later on also, but then at least the job is getting done.
Yeah.
The life becomes a little more easy for the
Easier.
parent,
Parent.
because we have children, adults, who still requires help.
Yeah.
So if one child is also getting independent, in toileting, it's a big achievement, for us.
Yeah.
Because baki sari cheezein chodo, because toileting is something which is very important.
Yeah.
Because see, when you're traveling, when you're going to a mall, especially this child, the father is abroad, so the mother is alone, so she cannot take him to a ladies' toilet because he's grown up.
Yeah.
So if he's able to go to an to a men's toilet independently, she can take him out. Otherwise, these children are at home because they are not toilet trained.
And he used to wait till the mother comes. Whenever he goes to he knows that now I am, like, I'll go to the toilet. He used to do it, but he used to stand like that only
Sit
in the
over
toilet for like hours and hours. But he used to not clean it. But now he is able to do, because the right way has been taught to him.
Understanding the situation as well.
And working, yeah.
Working
Yeah.
According to the
According to
situation, which
situation.
is also very
And
important.
child to child.
Yeah,
Child
yeah.
learned it.
Yeah.
It was taught to him.
Exactly.
So it became easy
Easier.
for him to
Yeah.
understand that, technique.
So everything needs to be taken into account.
Yes.
And then given
Yeah.
and plan the techniques.
Once the ADLs are achieved now, like initial part is the ADL thing, activities for daily living, and then we can like proceed towards the instrumental ADL, like whatever, like now in vocational center I do work with children's in instrument, because most of them are independent in their ADLs. So then I started working with instrumental ADL, like these children don't have that money management things, or arranging the house, or planning things for a day for their own self as well as for the family. They need to do it, because some of the other days parents will not be there, but they need to find their own ways to survive. They need to manage the kitchen, they need to manage their own house. So that is also important. So I make sure the parents also to involve them in the task for their daily routines, not only for the daily living, for the daily routine. Money management is also very important, because they don't understand what to give and
Time
what to take back.
management,
Yeah,
money management.
time management.
And
yeah.
also, like, Shuntal, I am like really happy, because sometimes like therapists don't prioritize what is more important. See, ADLs, as she said, toileting is such an important,
Yeah.
function, which the child needs to master. Academics, all those things, because sometimes we have parents, who's 10-year-old and they come and talk about academics. So wo priority nahi hai, that is not a priority.
Yeah.
Your ADL skills, your toileting, all those things, eating independently, these things are a priority. Children don't know, sometimes they mess around, they are 10, 12, but still, they are so messy when they are eating.
Yeah.
So when you take them to a restaurant, they don't know how to behave, so parents avoid that, because it creates a scene, but then if these things are taken care of, your life becomes much more easier. Academics, we really don't know how much the child will pick up, may or may not pick up, but these things are much more important. So then as a therapist also, they should not feel, okay, toileting is not my job.
Many
It can be
of
little
them
messy.
do it, because toileting is not
because
the
it's
thing.
not easy,
Yeah.
It is not
teaching
easy.
a child toileting is not easy. So then they feel, okay, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
But then, like the way I had seen her videos, what she shared, the way she planned out the whole thing, and understanding the importance of toileting and taking that, as a priority, So it's important, like the therapist, need to understand what is important for the child, and take the parent in the loop and work towards that, So, so it's a blessing, like to get a good therapist also.
No, it's like some therapists, like there are therapists who are like, we will give you a plan, you do it at home and work. But see, parents don't know how to work on it. Even
Techniques
though
they don't know. Techniques they
even
don't.
though we explain them, but they don't know the exact technique to use.
And child don't always cooperate with the
Yeah,
parents.
yeah. Many
they
of the-
cooperate
yeah,
with the
with the
teacher, they
therapist.
cooperate with the therapist.
Yeah.
They don't cooperate because they're used to like
That's
that
their
at
comfort
home.
zone.
They are
Yeah.
smart, yeah.
Yeah. And parents bhi kya hote hai, sometimes okay, school, the timing of the school is there, so we need to be
Hurry.
so then finish all the
Finish
things
it and
themselves, and then
it's
send
okay.
them,
The
pack
technique
them
is,
off to-
we'll do it
to
later,
school.
Baba. We have to reach the.
Yeah, but in that thing, the child is just growing up, and getting used to the
Yeah.
parent doing everything, So that is why, like, we need to address these things at the right age.
I have asked many of the parents, if not possible in the like school days, you can perform it on weekends also, like bathing techniques. There are many children who are like much more elder, but they don't know how to bathe, how to go to toilet, and that is because the parents are like, "Ha, theek hai, he is the only child. I want to do his thing." But what will be there after the
Yeah.
parents are not there? So I told them ki at least see to it that the child is able to do his own works independently. If not possible daily, you can try it in vacations, in weekends, so that at least it would be like practicable that the mother is also taking my practice, I need to do it. Because they know what teacher is doing, therapist is doing, but after going home, mama is doing everything to me. So no point to learn. So that attitude the parents also need to like adapt. That the child needs to do. First day the child will mess up. Second day he will mess up. But third day he will at least attempt to do it. So that is more important. Like not only academics. Many parents are there. They are asking when my child will write. But the first thing you see, when the child will interact with you, they will like have that good attention, coordination, then he will write. How can he will be able to write it immediately? So first all things are there, eating is there, EDLs are there. So we need to work on it. Writing, and I to personally tell parents, see, you don't focus immediately on writing. I will not work on writing thing. That part is teacher's part, and they are doing it on regular basis. So you just focus on what all things are important to basic life skills. Because in academics, we don't know how far the child will go, but ADLs are must to lifelong things. So parents should also understand the need for ADLs, and when we explain it in a good manner and a good way, then they also tend to listen, because they are also in such a like stressful environment and all that thing. So it is difficult for them, but when we explain it in a correct way, right way, then they also listen to us like that.
So basically, when the therapist is doing certain techniques in the therapy center, reinforcing those same things at home is also a must, because here the therapist is working on the child, and there the mother or probably those techniques are not being followed. That also can be a hindrance. So that is very important. So the therapist needs to then give information to the parent as well, that this has been taught, so this needs to be reinforced at home.
That's why we have events like night out in our school,
Okay.
where all the children spent a day in the school. So initially when we had night out, we literally had parents staying outside the school gate, they used to sit in their car thinking,
You
for
never know
them, when my child, will need me and I'll
Yeah.
get a call, so then, they were so anxious because they never left their child alone. We have these events just for this thing, like the child should learn to be independent. And, at a young age, if you make the child stay independently, later on it becomes easy for the parent, and parents also are confident, okay, my child can function without me, because after all, that question what you said, like what after me, so you have to prepare the child from a young age. You have to prepare the parent also, okay, my child can function independently. And ADL, is an important role in that, in independent living. If the child is able to manage his ADL, other things are, a cakewalk then, because basic ADL skill, like brushing, bathing, dressing themselves, grooming, these are the things, what is required for independent living. That time academics is not important over there, whether you're placing a child in a residential setup or wherever, ADLs are the most important, crucial thing for an independent living. That's why we have night outs in school.
So, thank you so much, both of you, for these amazing insights. And basic things also need to be addressed, is what we have learned today. So, thank you so much, both of you, for all the information. And definitely, our parents and our therapists as well will get a lot of insights. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.